When I got to my tiny house last night, I had forgotten the keys to my tiny house. I had left them all the way in Atlanta, and I didn't have internet service, and a flood had gone through here and washed out the bridge over my creek. Hi everybody, my name is Desiree. I live and work in Atlanta, but I have a tiny house in the Appalachian Mountains where I'm slowly starting an off-grid farm. I'm a single girl doing most of the work on my own and learning as I go. So come along with me on my journey, and I hope it will entertain and maybe also give someone out there a little inspiration. Welcome to Honeysuckle Homestead Retreat. Okay, so all that sounds pretty bad, right? However, I was able to get into my house. I actually had spare keys hidden away somewhere because I knew there was a possibility that someday in the future I would leave my keys all the way in Atlanta. And I didn't want to strand myself, essentially. So luckily, I did have the spare keys. Now, as far as internet service goes, I actually don't know what happened there. I tried to connect the internet Ethernet cable to my router like I do every time I come to my tiny house, because I disconnect it whenever I leave and then I reconnect it when I come back. And for whatever reason, I wasn't getting any internet service. I didn't know if it was my router or if it was a service provider. And I checked everything, like I checked in my barn, which is where my internet modem and all that stuff is. And it all seemed to be fine. So I wasn't really sure what had gone wrong. I thought, well, gosh, I wonder if the internet cable from like the telephone pole got snapped somewhere or something, and maybe that's not connected or whatever. But long story short, I decided just not to worry about the internet last night, and I was completely without internet. So I didn't do any like surfing the web or anything before going to bed. Instead, I read a book, and then I went to bed at a fairly decent time and woke up this morning, and voila, I had internet. The problem with not having internet service for me personally is without it, I have no way to contact anybody. So I don't have cell phone service. There's absolutely no cell phone service where I'm at. So the only way I'm able to connect with the outside world in any kind of way is through the internet. If I had an emergency, I wouldn't be able to make a phone call. I would have to go to my neighbors and get help that way. Just a heads up, if you're getting property in the middle of nowhere, you may not have cell phone service, and who knows, your internet service might go out every once in a while. It could happen. Before I even got in my car to come to the homestead this weekend, my neighbors from across the street messaged me to let me know that there had been some pretty big flooding in the area, and that my bridge here, this guy, had actually fallen into the creek. Now, if you see all these tire tracks here, that is from my neighbor's tractor. He was kind enough to come over here and put my bridge back up for me. This thing weighs a lot. I'm not even sure how much it weighs, but it weighs a lot. Those are 2 6x6s below it, and then the boards on top, of course. If you remember, my bridge used to be straight, but now the boards are a little wonky, and it's because I only put in 1 screw on each side per board. So when he moved the bridge back into place, things kind of shifted a little bit. But you know what? I kind of like it. It adds character to it, and it's kind of cool. So I'm just happy that I don't have to build another bridge, at least not right now. Now, if we do have another flood that comes through here, things might change. But hopefully it'll be a while before we have a massive flood like that again. The creek has completely washed out the dirt that was here. This is a video I shot in January. You can see here where the water was already going underneath the ground that was holding up the bridge. So I was already concerned about it then. I was trying to figure out the best way to handle it. And then the flood came, and it washed all this away. And it's just gonna keep washing that away unless I put some boulders here and protect this side of the bank somehow. You can see that the water's got all the way up underneath that bridge area because there's debris that's collected on that cinder block there. And you also see all this debris here, all this trash. This washed down from the creek from up above there. I get trash along this creek all the time, and it just washes down. Plus, being by a main highway there, I imagine some people throw their trash out the window. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality. So I am constantly picking up trash along my creek bed. I knew that the ground was wearing away underneath the bridge on this side over here. I really didn't have time to get to the bridge. Really, it needs to be elevated. Even where it's at right now is not going to be a permanent. The ground keeps wearing away over there, like where the creek is running through. It's just wearing away at that bank right there. I have talked with a guy about putting some big like boulder rocks here to prevent that from happening more. He said that is a late summer job when it's more dry and he's able to get in here with the truck with all the rocks and stuff in it. So I'm gonna have to wait for that to happen. I'm hoping that the bank holds up in the meantime. But what I wanted to say is, if you're looking for a place to have a homestead, neighbors are important. They're very important. Like if you're gonna have neighbors. I mean, if you're in an area where there are no neighbors and you're just all on your own, I mean, I see the appeal in that too. But with that said, I am super grateful for my neighbors because they look out for my property when I'm not here and they let me know if anything's happening. And so I was aware of the bridge falling in way before I even arrived here. And they also let me know that they got their tractor over here and they pulled it out of the creek so that it wouldn't get stuck or wash down the creek or whatever. So they actually had it resting over here on this bank right here. And so that was one of my neighbors. And then yesterday, so today's Saturday, yesterday, my other neighbor on the other side over there came over with his tractor and he goes, "Hey, you want me to put that bridge back for you?" And so I said, "Well, you can try." I said, I just don't know if it's too short now because, I mean, it's barely spanning the width here. And he said, "Well, let me just give it a try." And so he had this spear thing for hay on the front of his tractor. And he used that to kind of maneuver the bridge a little bit. And then he had this chain to kind of lift it up and then hoist it over. And between me, him, and this other gentleman, we were able to get the bridge back in place. I'm actually glad the other gentleman was here. He was the one that I was talking to about a fence. And he actually helped a lot with getting the bridge back in place, in addition to Danny. So, very grateful for that. But, yeah, I mean, as soon as Danny came over here, I was like, man, I have got the best neighbors, the absolute best neighbors you could ever ask or hope for. I am super, super appreciative of them. And that's something you should consider if you're looking for a place to have a homestead, especially if it's one that you're not at 24/7. And even if it is one that you're at 24/7, it's great for there to be someone to come over and help you. I don't own a tractor, and to have neighbors that do, it's amazing. It's just a huge help. So those are things to consider. I mean, this can definitely go the other way too. You could have bad neighbors, and I've definitely heard of people having bad neighbors, but good neighbors are worth their weight in gold. I mean, they are amazing, and I am so grateful that I have them. Before I wrap up the video for today, I just wanted to give you guys an update on Mark Wilson and his tiny house. If you're new to my channel, Mark Wilson with Little Ridge Farm, that is his YouTube channel, built a tiny house with his daughter, and this past November of 2022, it actually burnt to the ground. There was a fire. Luckily, no one was home, but the tiny house and everything in it was completely gone, which is really, really awful during the holiday season for something like that to occur. It's terrible for it to occur at any time, but especially during the holidays. He has been receiving donations to rebuild his tiny home, but now he's also holding a fundraiser. So if you donate $10, every $10 you donate, you will be entered into a drawing for various prizes. I'm not sure what the prizes are, but he is doing this in conjunction with other YouTube channels that have donated the prizes, and the fundraiser will not actually be on his channel. It's going to be on another channel, and it will be occurring on March 26th. So you just have to get your donations in by the 25th, and your name or your YouTube channel, whichever one, will be entered into the drawing. So I will have more information in the description below if you are interested, but this is just a little photo collage of his tiny house as he was building it with his daughter, and then what happened to it in November of 2022. So in addition to having good physical neighbors nearby, it's also good to be a part of a community, and I do believe that as tiny home homesteaders, we are a part of a community. Anyone that owns a tiny home or anyone that's a homesteader, we are a community here online, and we can still help each other out even if we're not physically there to do it. So if you guys just want to check out the information in the description below, it'll have everything you need to know about this fundraiser and how you can donate. If you don't want to be a part of the fundraiser and you just want to donate, you can do that too. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Please leave comments in the comment section below. I do try to get to those comments eventually. I don't get to them right away usually, but I will get to them eventually. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind, and go ahead and subscribe if you are not a subscriber yet. And yeah, that's it. I will see you guys next time. Without internet, I have no way to communicate with anybody at all whatsoever. Like, blah. All right, guys, that